Hi, this is Hank Howie, COO and Vice President of Business Development at Disruptor Beam, talking about Star Trek Timelines, our new mobile game.
You guys are very well known for Game of Thrones Ascent. Talk a little about what you've learned from working with HBO and that franchise that you're applying to Star Trek.
With any multiplayer game, a lot of what you learn are how the players play the game, and I think a lot of successful games allow players to play games in different ways. So we understand from Game of Thrones Ascent kind of what we had to build, and then how we can give the players what they want, maybe in an even more targeted and effective fashion, so as to get them to enjoy themselves and maybe hopefully even spend a little money.
When it comes to Star Trek, there's a long lineage of games out there, not necessarily all great games. What are the challenges of bringing that franchise to the video game space in a way that's going to be fun to play?
I think the key for us, well, with all our games, authenticity is really important to us. Whenever you have an iconic franchise like Game of Thrones or Star Trek, the fans are they're real fanatics, and so they love it, but they're also going to keep you honest and really, you really have to pay attention. They can be very demanding. So then the other piece is thinking about how we can execute a Star Trek game that really is reflective of the Star Trek world and universe and what people really love about Star Trek, and that is, it's not just about combat or flying your ship around and trying to blow up a Klingon warbird or a Romulan ship. It's really, Star Trek is just as much about the stories and about encountering problems, new and interesting problems in different worlds, different galaxies with different races, and trying to solve those problems in ways more often than not outside of combat, like using diplomacy, using science, using the skills of the characters in the show to get to a good resolution at the end of the end of each episode. And that's what we felt really good about our ability to do that. And whenever we've talked to fans about it, it seems to resonate with them really powerfully. They seem to like it.
Star Trek has a very long mythology. It's a huge universe. Where does your focus take place within that world?
So the basic premise of the game is we have access to all of the Star Trek universe up until the new movies, the J.J. Abrams movies. So and in order to leverage that properly, the basic premise of the game is that there's an anomaly in the time-space continuum. This will be shocking news for this to happen in the Star Trek universe, but the galaxy is threatened with extinction. Can you imagine such a thing? So the idea is that all the Star Trek universes are kind of crossing, and the characters are crossing over sort of into the same time-space continuum. So the idea is that Picard exists in the same world with Kirk, exists in the same world with Janeway, with Archer, with Mr. Spock, with Data, and all those characters. So the player will get to be able to use all of those characters to build their crew and to basically make their way through the game and solve those challenges and get to good resolutions and be in fleets with other players and band together to sort of solve bigger kind of alliance or fleet level problems within the universe.
So you're creating your own specific crew, so I could have Picard and you could have Picard together.
Yes, and not only that, like you could have Picard. You can also have Locutus Board Picard. You can have Dixon Hill Picard. Coming right out of the the age check, and all of those characters are going to have they'll have different skills and abilities. And so, regular Picard may be just fine for a certain type, mission or encounter, but you might need the specialized nature of, say, Dixon Hill Picard to unlock or solve a particular challenge within the game.
And will you have challenges where I can go solo and do it versus having to have teammates come along with me and help?
Yes, I mean, in all our games, we really kind of leave it up to the player as to whether they want to really just, play by themselves, or if they want to, get into more of the multiplayer aspects of the game by joining an alliance, or in this case, it'd be a fleet. Really, you can do either. You can do both. We find that the players who tend to join alliances and as I said, fleets. They seem to enjoy themselves, even more eventually. People obviously make lots of friends because they have all this shared interest, right, in the love of these IPs, these worlds. And so you just find, I belong to an alliance in Game of Thrones, and I interact with those people, with all the players on a daily basis, and we have a lot of fun. We get to plan and do things together as a group, but we all have this shared interest in Game of Thrones. So there's always a common reference point for people to kind of get to know each other on a friendly basis.